And I almost gave myself an ulcer. I was like, look, this is work. Work is never worth that. I literally called the college like 1 year after I graduated saying, you guys didn't prepare me for this. You guys will probably start using agents within the next 6 months. And you're gonna be like, oh my Lord. Like, guys, we're only getting paid today because I prayed it in. Let's sign up for 6-year lease so I can get 6 months free because we weren't making enough money to pay for the lease. We have 6 months to figure it out.
JustSayan Podcast.
Thanks for joining us. Super excited. And just want to get to know you a little bit more, Jon. I mean, I know that you've, we're working together to certain capacity. You guys are helping us out a ton with our marketing, social media, and it's been great. But how did it all get started?
So we had to rewind many years, I think. So when I was in school, the whole idea when I came out of school was I was going to go work for somebody for 4 or 5 years, then I was going to start my own thing. So coming out of school, I already knew I would own something, right? I didn't know what it was when I went into school, but by the time I came out, I had graduated with a graphic design degree. And so the logical step was to go get a job at an ad agency, which is what I did. I made it about almost 4 years, 3 years and 10 months or so, before I went to my creative director and said, hey, I think it's time. I'm supposed to go out on my own. He's like, okay, if you have to, you have to. And I started my own graphic design business, basically.
Okay. And this was how long ago?
This was in 03.
In 03.
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
2003.
And it wasn't Criterion.B yet. It wasn't Swifty yet.
It was Jon Simpson Design Studios.
Oh, nice.
That's right. It was just me. Me. And so at the time I just gotten married. And we'd been married about a year, I guess, by that point. And when I called my wife and told her, she was just like, yeah, it's about time. So I was like, okay, that's good confirmation.
So she knew. She knew.
So I went on my own, and immediately the way I'd gotten the job at the agency was through a headhunter several years earlier. And so I'd made a lot of other connections through that same headhunter before I found the position at the ad agency. Right. So I went back and called those people, the other agencies, and said, hey, I want to be a freelancer. Can I come work for you? And so I got to work at a lot of the larger agencies in Dallas as a freelancer, which was fantastic. Ended up starting a company called Simpson Rogers with a partner. As an agency, we were going after a big, a new startup airlines that was going to be out of Columbus, Ohio. This was in 05, 06.
That's a solid name, Simpson Rogers.
Yeah, Simpson Rogers. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was just the two of us at that point. So me and Kyle Rogers, who's a videographer, and we both had a common connection with the guy that was starting this airlines, and so. We felt like, hey, we should go after this together. We'll have a better chance. We went after it for about 3 years. They ended up going, I think, with the Richards Group. So again, we lost to somebody who was more than a worthy adversary. Right. Richards Group does Chick-fil-A. They do Home Depot. It's a huge, huge agency, right? Yeah. And here we are, just two people like trying to go after it. But we didn't end up getting it. And then in 2008, when everything crashed, that airline only made it about 6 months, and then it crashed too. So again, I feel like that was a good confirmation. We weren't supposed to get that job. It would have been nuts.
What airline was it?
It was called Skybus.
Oh, okay.
So it was only around for a very short period of time. It was supposed to be rivaling Ryanair in Europe. And so it was going to be like the most cost-effective airline in the U.S. And all of that. And the guy that was starting it came from Southwest. He was the lead pilot for Southwest. He retired from Southwest and then went to start this airline. So it was an interesting time. But then we split ways. I bought my partner out and I said, hey, it's time for me to go out on my own. Started hiring employees and started Cannonball. So Cannonball Creative is actually the legal entity name of Criterion.B.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Cannonball, I wanted something that was like forward thinking and forward momentum and all of that. And the whole idea was we were going to become an agency to agencies. Right. So the idea was we'd go to these big agencies and say, hey, you've been trying to do digital marketing. You haven't been able to figure it out. We can do it. Let us be your hands. Just give us that work and we'll work under your name. White label it, right? And so we got to work with a lot of really big agencies all over town. It was awesome. And by about 2012, I guess, decided we did not like being the lowest man on the totem pole. Everything rolls downhill, and we were getting yelled at for stuff. And you do a giant web project, and everybody would hate each other by the end of the project, and then you'd have to wait 6 months, and they'd call you back. Okay, we're ready to go again. Right, we're ready to do the next one.
Yeah.
But you always had time of healing after every project because they were so just damaging. And so we were just like, yeah, we don't want to do that. By this point, Ashley, I hired Ashley in 08 when I started this. So she's been with me for, this is 18 years this year.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while.
Is she your longest tenured employee?
She is the longest tenured employee. However, the average tenure, I think, is pushing 7 to 10 years probably.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a long time. Trying to think. So in 2012 we decided let's focus. Let's take a step backward from the agency world. We'll slow down. We won't get rid of them yet. We'll still work for them, but let's take a step back and try to get some of our own work. And so we started looking around and said, hey, the construction business in Dallas is huge. Mm-hmm. Let's start going after construction companies. Mm-hmm. And by construction in our world, because everything that we did was through agencies, mm-hmm. we were looking for clients that would hire agencies. And so we started working with like CBRE and Stream. And
gotcha.
We did like all the social media for, the Trammell Crow Center. Yeah. We're picking up projects like that were great, but they could keep us alive, keep us funded, and do all that kind of stuff that we needed to do. And we thought, oh man, this is great. We're going into this. And we made some good connections with some people from Amly and started work. We did their corporate website back in that same time period, maybe 2011, 2012 time period. Yeah. And then we got to work with UDR, and we really just started falling in love with multifamily back then. Yeah.
Nice. Jon, so let's take this a step back a little. So your wife, when you told her, she kind of knew, right? But it sounds like you've always had that mindset and that entrepreneurial spirit. Have you always been like that? From
Yes.
Yeah.
From as far back as I can remember. So
right.
My dad's side of the family, all of them are entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So my dad and his 4 siblings, they all own their own businesses.
Okay.
So it's all I've known all my life. It was just been around that and kind of watching and seeing how they've done things. And my dad obviously is he's a huge inspiration to my whole like career life and everything that I've done there. But yeah.
What did he do?
He is still, he's 76 and he's still an active CPA. Working in his own firm that he started back in like 74, I think. So before I was born. So he's had that, had his practice for going on 50 plus years now. So,
oh, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So, and then most of the rest of his siblings were all in food. So have like catering companies or other food type businesses.
Right. Yeah. So was there ever, I'm assuming that there, really wasn't. When someone has, I think, an entrepreneurial, mindset, we never really, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it through my, lens, but we never really stop to hesitate and think about, oh, will this work out or not? And we just kind of jump in, right, and go for it. And it sounds like that's something you did. Yes, you had experience, right? You had to gain some knowledge and experience, all that stuff, but then just took the leap.
Yeah.
And your wife was very supportive of it. When you decided to go on your own, if you can think back to maybe a specific challenge that you had that maybe detracted you or slowed you down quite a bit, or at the time you saw as, man, how am I going to make it through this?
So it was interesting because before I even, I put in a month's notice with the agency. Yeah. So I said, hey, I'll give you a month to find somebody and all that. But before the end of the month, I'd already gotten enough business from people calling me to do website projects and things like that on the side.
Right.
I had made up my salary for the year pretty much, right? So I had enough work ongoing for that next year to make up the same amount that I was already making. Yeah. So we didn't really... making ends meet was never, I think, a fear. It wasn't really a fear from that perspective. I think some of the hard times were just you go into it knowing you are going to have to work really hard to make it happen. It's not just going to happen. And so like with I feel like I was pretty fortunate to get to start that process when I was younger,
Yeah.
as a part, before we had kids or
Right.
anything like that. I went in and started it, but I was still doing freelance work. So I really went off to be freelance first and kind of built up my clientele that way before I went out fully on my own with my own clients. So as I was doing freelance work, I'd go and work for an agency from like, let's say 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'd go home for an hour and then I'd be up until 5 a.m. working on all my own clients. And then I'd get up again and do it again, be back at the agency at 10, work from 10 to 5 or 6, and then go home and then work again until 5 a.m. And I did that every single night for a few years, right? And it was just part of life. It became life. And so my wife would stay up with me and we started watching like The Office. We'd have The Office playing, we watched the seasons of stuff. It was back when Netflix was on CDs. And so we'd order a bunch of CDs or DVDs, right? And we'd just sit there all night. And I'd just sit there. And then after we had our first kid, I was sitting there and I'd be rocking him with my foot at 3 a.m. while I'm working on the computer, on this thing. So it became our life. We just worked hard and made it happen. It was at that point I really didn't have too many employees I didn't have any employees yet at that point. Yeah.
And you did that for about how long?
A few years.
Yeah,
it was probably from 03 to 05 or 06. So actually my sister got married and she married a guy. She met him at church and I didn't know him yet at the time, but when I finally did meet him, I think my first memory was saying, she's like, hey, Tarek is on a job in China. So he worked for TI. Okay. And she's like, he's offered a job in China. And I was like, oh, that's, kind of strange. He's gone for months. And then finally, he came back and we found out he was on The Apprentice. And he wasn't really in China. He was being filmed on The Apprentice.
And they couldn't say
where he was. And so he had to tell everyone he was on this business trip or whatever. And kind of find out. So when we were brought in, he's like, hey, I'm going to need a website. Yeah. And so that was one of the first websites I built was when he got fired off of The Apprentice, he had to, we had to have that site all built and ready to go so that he could make the most of his 15 minutes of fame. He went on and made a lot out of his 15 minutes of fame. So it was really good. So, and from that, I learned one of the most valuable lessons, I think, of owning a business way back then, because he needed it and he's very driven and he pushed really hard and I wanted to perform. I wanted to do it. And so I pushed really hard and I almost gave myself an ulcer. I was like, look, this is work. Work is never worth that. I'm never going to do that again. And I haven't since. Yeah. And that's what I now have to remind my employees. I was like, look, you don't worry about work. You need to just breathe, step back. It's going to be okay. It's not worth, nothing is worth getting an ulcer over for your job. So, take a breath, right? So that was a big learning experience.
And that's also why your employee retention is so high. You said it's average like 7-10 years. Because it's awesome.
Well, I think that's a very important leadership quality too. It's like, hey, there's times where we have to, it just demands it from you, right? You have to push. You have to, work those extra hours. We have to make it happen. That's across the board. Yeah. But it takes a good leader to recognize when it's time to do that and when it's time to, okay, we can step it back a little bit. Yeah, it's not 24/7. It's not all year, right? There are times, short times, but I think that our employees, a lot of times they want to prove, they want to give all, they want to do everything they can to the point where it's hurting them, and that's hard, right? So you got to know when to say stop. Yeah. So you hired Ashley, and then. So by the time Ashley came, she wasn't my first employee, but she was hired that first year. So I actually had about, I want to say 6 or 7 guys working for me, maybe 10 guys working for me that first year before I hired Ashley. And they were all in college. They were all at UTA in Arlington. They were all developers. Like maybe a third of them spoke English. Right. They all were from India. They all spoke Hindi and their native languages. So I had a couple that could translate, and then everyone else was just working, right? And they're all computer science guys. And so I figured, like, I got to get the most cost-effective employees that I can to be able to perform, because my rule of thumb, the way I went out and got business, was I'm not going to say no. So if most developers, this is, again, back in 04, 05, we did not have the same development tools that we have today. Yeah, absolutely. And this is also, I may be wrong here, but this is also before, outsourcing and going.
Well, for me, outsourcing was really not, I didn't want to outsource yet at this time. So I was like, I don't want to really outsource. I want to do everything in my office if I can, as much as I can.
Yeah.
So back then, development was very difficult. So we called it pixel perfect development. So you'd give me a picture and we'd build that in HTML and make it look exactly like your Photoshop files, which most developers would just say, no, you can't do that. And so I was like, no, I'll just make my developers work harder. I was like, we'll get there. You can do it with enough time.
Right.
And so we would push. And so that got us into the door at a lot of ad agencies who are very picky with their designs. And so we would work really, really hard to make that happen. And that got us a lot of work because of it.
Yeah.
But I had an office probably about as big as this room, and I had it lined all the way around the room with folding tables, the 6-foot folding tables, and I had guys sitting all the way around that room. It was at my dad's office building in North Richland Hills.
Yeah.
And it smelled horrible, and then here comes Ashley, right? The only girl comes in, and she's just like, oh man. She's like, no, I can't. She's like,
oh, what I get myself into?
Yeah.
No.
So she didn't work in the office at first, right? So
she said, no girls work here, and I can tell.
No, it was definitely just a bunch of guys. So we were having a good time. We were making stuff happen and everything, but it was a lot of work. And like I said, they were part-time because they had school, right? So we'd work them all we could. But my idea was, for first year, 2008, I was like, we got to get in an office. We want to get an office space. And I don't know what that means. I've been a freelancer for a bunch of years. Well, my cousin, he was working for a commercial broker, and he's like just getting his feet wet, starting as a broker. He's like, I can help you find an office space. I was like, great, I need that. And so he was helping me find a space, and he was looking in Dallas. And the idea was to find somewhere in the West End because it's surrounded by ad agencies. And that was our job. Was we said, hey, if we can find a spot right here, it's surrounded by about 300 ad agencies around it, and that's our target market. So let's do that. So he found a spot, and it was right in the West End, the Market Ross building in the West End. And he said, John, he's like, for every year you sign the lease, you get a month for free. And I was like, well, how many years can we sign? And he said, 6. So I said, great, let's sign up for 6-year lease, right? So I could get 6 months free because we weren't making enough money to pay for the lease. So I was like, we have 6 months to figure it out. Yeah. So we signed a 6-year lease, and we went to work. We got the first 6 months for free, and by the 7th month, we were able to pay for the lease.
Pay for the lease.
And we never missed a payment, right? So
that's awesome.
We were there for all 6 years, and then we moved to an office at 400 North St. Paul Street, and we're there for another 5 years, and then everybody wanted to go to remote. So
yeah. So now everyone's remote.
Everyone's remote.
But y'all get together
a couple times a year.
Yeah. Whether it's, I think you guys just did one, right? Like
we did.
You get together in a retreat.
Yep.
Format.
We try to do it at the very least once a year. If we can swing it, we'll do twice a year. So we would fly everyone in. We've done different locations. We do Dallas, it seems like the most, or Grapevine or Fort Worth or things like that. But we've done Phoenix and a couple other places. But we've done Broken Bow a few times. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun just bringing everybody together just to hang out. It's really not, they're not for working. They're just to get to know your coworkers because we don't get to work together every day. Yeah. Besides on Zoom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have now? And I know y'all are remote, but here.
Yeah. So we total at Criterion.B we have 10.
10 at Criterion.B.
10, and they're spread out over currently over 8 states. Mm-hmm. So all over the U.S. from Alaska to Florida, and all up and down both coasts and stuff. So, and that's. We've been up to 20 at the height. When we had an office, we had about 20 people. Yeah. And then we've kind of downsized since then.
Gotcha. Dude, so that's got to be, how do you navigate the, communication and everyone being on the same page, especially, with being spread out. And I've told you this before, your team is great. Your team is great to work with. So I'm curious, how you guys internally, communicate and make sure that things don't slip through the cracks. Yeah. We're big on communication here at SAAN. And, my team also gets spread out depending on where projects are. Every once in a while, stuff slips through the cracks.
Yeah. Yeah, so besides just like your normal tools, like project management tools and stuff that we use, teamwork for that, but we make sure that we have a daily check-in. So over the years, it's changed, honestly, right? So as we learn, we kind of go up through these patterns. So I talk to other remote companies. So if you're familiar with Apartment Life, we're big friends and fans of theirs. And I was talking to some of their leadership and said, well, how do y'all do it? You've been remote for a long time. You know, how have y'all done it? And they used Marco Polo, where they basically do daily stand-ups on Marco Polo, which is like a video voicemail basically. So everybody has to submit their video voicemail by a certain time each day, and then everyone else has to watch all those voicemails by a certain time that day. So everyone submitted by 8, watched by 9. You know what you're supposed to do. That worked for a while, and then since then we've moved almost fully to Slack. So now we have like Slack channels, and in the morning everyone checks in. Hey, here's what I'm working on today. Here's what I need from everybody today. So everyone kind of gets that feel, and then you meet with your teams throughout the day, whether it's Slack or Google Meetings or whatever. Teams are intentional about communicating with each other. They talk to each other all throughout the days.
So as you started hiring, Ashley, and then now you're at 10 at Criterion.B, and you have other employees at Swifty. Was there ever a point, did you ever stop and think, man, I'm hiring all these people, I'm responsible for these people. From a leadership standpoint, what did that do for you?
Yeah, so I think the first time I realized that was in 2012. Again, I had 12 or 15 people, and we hit so when the market crashed in 2008, and we didn't really feel that until 2012 in Dallas, or in our line of work, really till about 2012. And so that happened. We had some months and probably months where we could barely cover our office supplies, like paying for toner for the printer. And so trying to figure out how are we, I was, again, we're young and we're just trying to like make things happen, and we no business background. It's all like, I'm a graphic designer. I was like, I ran things like a freelancer, all this. It's like one of our clients was the Dallas International Guitar Festival, which is the biggest guitar show in the world. It's here in Dallas every year. Jimmy Wallace is the guy that puts it on, still to this day. He still does it. And he would pay me in guitars. So he couldn't pay me in. But
do you play the guitar?
I don't play guitar at all. But I had like 12 guitars at one point, and they're really high-end, nice guitars, because we were doing a lot of work for him, and they were decorations on our walls, right? And so during that time period in 2012, I had to take them to Guitar Center one at a time and sell them to make payroll, right? It's like we were just like trying to like, how are we going to do this?
You have to, right? And there's sometimes just like that where you're looking at your bank account, you're looking at payroll, and you're like, man, how am I going to make this happen?
How are we going to do it? I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm spending how much money a month, like having to pay for all the payroll and stuff. It's like I'm amazed. I was like, how do we even sell that much stuff? I was like,
you're telling me your employees wouldn't work for guitars?
Oh, I never offered, because that'd be more than their paycheck if I paid them the guitars at the time. So they were. And they actually, for what I got for them at Guitar Center, maybe it would have been better to give the guitars to the people, because at Guitar Center they pay you pennies on the dollar what they're worth. So it's like, it's hard.
Now, while you're going through this, do your employees know?
Oh yeah, the situation. No, we've always been a super transparent company.
Gotcha. So you let them know, hey, this is where we're at.
Yes.
This is what we're going through. You may or may not get a paycheck.
Yeah, we never missed a paycheck.
But here's the truth. Yeah, thankfully, right? Never missed.
Yes.
But here's the truth. Here's where we are, and they chose to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's awesome.
There were some periods of time when it was questionable, where it'd be like, okay, well, I think I did ask. I said, hey, it's going to be a week late, or it's going to be like that, and they had to wait a little bit. They got the paycheck, but it didn't come on payday. Right. And so I'm sure that's when it's really going through their heads, like, man, what am I doing? Why am I staying here, or whatever?
And internally for you, Jon, what does that do, or what is going through your mind?
I mean, for me, it just drives me more. Right. It's just like as a husband or a father, you feel like your job is to provide. Right. And you'll do whatever it takes to provide. And it's the same. Like, you just have more kids. More mouths to feed, or families to feed, or whatever. It's like we just got to do what we got to do. And so a lot of what we do is Like I remember telling my, I mean, again, we've always been transparent with everyone at my company. I'd be like, guys, we're only getting paid today because I prayed it in. I was like, I've been spending time on my knees, like praying work to come in the door. I was like, it is what it is. It's like you know, God always provides for us, but sometimes it's like we've got to feel it to understand where our provisions come from. Yep. And I feel like that's definitely part of our story. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I had to make those calls when I was starting out.
Yeah,
you know, where hey. And yes, luckily I've never not, you know, paid or figured out a way to come up with the money, right?
Yeah.
But it's things that we struggle with when we're starting out. Not everything goes as planned, right?
No.
And yeah, sometimes it means having to make that call to someone who's been busting their butt for, you know, whatever, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, and give them that news. But, you know, I think once, for me, what, you know, understanding that, hey, one, the only thing I can do in this situation is call them, be upfront, let them know, this is what's going on. I've got you, though. I'll make it happen. Yeah. Just give me some time and come through with it. And that's why I think you are where you are, and also on our end, why we've had these long-standing relationships with the people who ultimately drive our business, which is our vendor partners.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, it helps. The team knew that I was always the last to get paid. Yeah. I always said, you know, I'll always be the last. If you guys don't get paid, I'm not getting paid. So don't think I'm paying myself first, because it's not the way I work, right? I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. So, I mean, that helped. And the other way that I hired people back then is I would tell them, what do you need to make to live? Because that's all I can pay you. And I was like, you tell me what that dollar amount is. I said, as we grow, you'll get paid more. I was like, we'll grow together, right? And so they bought in that idea, right? And so that's certainly, I think, it bought some goodwill with the team along the way.
Yeah.
And Jon, coming from like a family of entrepreneurs, did you find yourself like leaning on that experience when you were going through hard times, or were you more in the mindset of like, no, like this is my thing, I'm going to figure it out by myself, and you didn't really lean on those connections?
No, I think I actually did treat it almost, it was a crutch for a while. Like I'd call my dad, and if I needed, like if I got in a hard time, I'd be like, Dad, I need you to bail me out. I need you to send me some money or whatever. He covered me, and I'd pay him back, right? Yeah. And then finally I had an awakening moment where I was just like, what am I doing? I can't lean on him for everything.
Dude. I think that's why, Jon, I resonate with you. So obviously Hispanic family, and look, not because we're a Hispanic family, but I think if you're part of a good family, you know, most parents are going to want to help their kids out, right? Yeah. And, you know, same here. I went through a similar situation, right, where I could rely on my parents if I needed to, and to a certain extent. We don't come from money or anything like that, but they would never say no to me asking for help. And at some point, I had to make that same decision. I was like, what am I doing here? Yeah. If I really want this, it's got to be on me.
Yeah. It's a hard decision to make.
It is a hard decision.
But once you make it, you make it. Yeah. And then you still survive. Yep. It's amazing how that works. Yeah. It's again that survival. I feel like you feel like that's what drives me. So if I know that I have another mouth, because my answer to everything back then was, oh, let's just hire somebody. Oh, we have more work. Just hire somebody else. Just hire somebody else. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to pay for them, but we'll pay for them. It'll work. It's like, let's just hire them. And it worked for a while, but then you're like, what am I doing? That's not efficient. That's not good. You know, we got to start. So you start growing up. That's what I said. I've learned more through the school of hard knocks than I ever did in college. Yeah. Right? I mean, like, I don't know how expensive my education has been after college, but it's got to be 10 times as expensive college.
Well, and that's one thing that, you know, we've talked a little bit on the podcast and with previous guests, because one of my things is, you know, for the longest time, I went to community college, didn't actually go to college, don't have a business degree, anything like that, and for the longest time, I felt that, you know, I was doing something wrong by not doing that, and until I understood that, no, a lot of my education. You can always educate yourself. You don't have to go to, you know, a university if you don't need to or have to, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of my education came from the School of Hard Knocks and just being out there and, saying, okay, I'm going to start this business. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm sure I'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And education, reading books, seminars, whatever, networking. And then you start meeting people who put you on things that work for them. So,
learn from everyone else, right? See, it's using the experiences of others to actually learn from it. But I'm the same. I feel like the podcasting world has been, and just books in general have been a huge education for me. But getting out in the real world and actually doing it, I feel like the best thing I got out of college was the ability to learn, maybe. Just like actually said, okay, this is how I need to do it. But I remember calling my professors back. I literally called the college like 1 year after I graduated saying, you guys didn't prepare me for this.
Yeah.
I said, y'all need to hire me back. You need to hire me to come teach everybody how to do this because this is not what I learned.
Yeah.
So I felt very under-equipped when I went into the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
But I knew how to learn.
Yep. Yeah. And are you taking that similar approach with your kids?
Yeah, that's another interesting kind of turn, I think, because my parents were very driven for college. Like they really wanted us all to go to college and pushed for us to go to college. And it was just part of how we were raised. Like you're just playing on it, you're going to go.
Yeah.
And we've taken almost the opposite approach with our kids. It's like, yeah, we want to foster it. If you want to go to college, we want to help you with that. But I don't think the college is necessarily needed in order to be successful in what you do. And so if you'd rather go straight into the workforce, go straight into the workforce. And if you decide you want to go to college later, great. But we're not pushing it real heavy. We only have one kid that's actually out of school yet, out of high school. And so he's went straight into the workforce and is loving what he's doing. And so, again, we want to help foster them. And that's kind of the way we've raised them from day one. They've all been homeschooled. And I think I was telling you the other day, I was like, it's the approach to homeschooling that we even take is very non-traditional. They don't have rigid timelines. They're not in school for 7 hours a day. They sleep till 1 PM. They do school for an hour or two a day. They get all their work done, and then we make them get jobs early. They get jobs when they're 14. Once they've gotten a job, they're getting some real world experience and earning money from an early age. So we're big proponents of that. And of course, we help foster the entrepreneurial side of them as much as we can, as much as they'll let us. Right. A lot of times the kids, they don't want to hear it because it's your parents.
It's
coming from
mom and dad saying it.
Yep. But they're starting, like Levi, the first one out, he's starting his own business right away, doing filming stuff. So it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, I know, you mentioned you started Criterion.B, but what was did you always have kind of that, I guess the creative side to you? Like ever since a kid, you either doodling or whatever kind of things got you into that creative?
I think that I'd say that, and this was even our like titles on our car. I've never been a big believer in titles, but when we finally got business cards for everybody at Cannonball, everybody had the same title. It was creative problem solver. I believe we're all creative problem solvers in every role we are. You guys are creative problem solvers in your jobs. I'm a creative problem solver in my job. I was like, it's really it's a little bit of a cop-out title because there's no extra pay. If you're a creative problem solver, you have to be a creative problem solver. But for me, that's what we were. And when I think back to my childhood and everything else, I've never been an amazing artist, right? And my sister is an amazing artist. I am not. I can get by and I can learn to do things, but I'm decent. I'm not great, right? Yeah. But I love doing stuff with my hands. I love building things. I love solving problems. I love figuring out, specifically nowadays, it's really figuring out solutions to problems using software. Like how do I build software that'll fix that problem? It's things like that. So it's very creative, but not like in a traditional painting and drawing perspective.
Okay.
But yeah, as long as I can remember.
Jon, what's the hardest part of marketing?
Probably educating the clients on what it actually means
Okay.
and what we actually do for them, right? Because and why we're the difference between like an ad agency and a marketing agency, right? So we're a marketing agency where ads are focused on ads. You're selling, you're doing paid ads to do something. With marketing, it's literally everything you do. It's the hat you're wearing.
Right.
It's the painting on the wall. It's your monument sign. It's the way you present yourself at meetups. Everything you do is marketing for your company or for your brand, your personal brand, right? And so it touches a lot of facets of a business. It's not just the ads you run. It's everything about who you are. Right. And so getting clients to buy in to that, and even trying, because a lot of times people are tying ROI, they try to tie ROI to ads.
Right.
Tying ROI to marketing is a little bit more difficult. It's like it's tying it to a brand. It's tying it to its awareness. It's like how do you tie ROI to that, the value of it, and it's just a difficult problem to get over, because I can't even honestly tell you the true ROI of everything that we do. Right. So much of it is vapor, I guess.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I get that part. Now, in marketing, when you went to school for it, do you guys get into the psychology part of marketing? Sure.
Yeah. And what drives, so understanding the product and understanding we call them personas, the people who are buying that product. It's different for every company. So like in multifamily, it's actually different for every property, right? Because of where that property is located, the area of town, the demographics around it. Is it a new build? Is it a Class C? Like there's so many different variables that go into understanding the person that's going to be living there. Same thing with, like, even with you guys, if you're talking to an owner, it's different than if you're talking to the management company who's working on behalf of the owner. Right? And so we would have a different persona.
The conversation is completely different.
Yes. We'd have a different persona built out for talking to an owner versus who the persona is for that management company, right? And so that the problems that the management company needs to solve are different than the problems that the ownership is trying to solve. They may have the same end in mind, but they're going about it different ways. One is spending their own money, the other is spending somebody else's money for one, right? And so you always have a different conversation just from that perspective. But yeah, everything we do, every company we talk to, it's always a different persona. And so we try to first generate the persona and then try to get into their shoes. And that again, it goes back to education, because whenever you're doing like even a brand for a company, when we're developing a brand, we want to know, well, who is your target? Let's understand the target and let's build the brand for them to receive. So then it's usually like, well, my wife doesn't like the logo, or so-and-so doesn't like it. And it's like, well, is your wife your target? Is that who's going to buy it? Is that, because otherwise we always say, look, put yourself, I want you to read the persona. I want you to put yourself in the persona's shoes and now look at from their eyes. Try to approach this from someone else's perspective, the person who you're trying to sell to, right? And that's an education process that sometimes is hard for people to wrap their head around. How do I do that, right? But it's eye-opening. We did that for several new construction builds, where we would go in and we'd look at the market research documents and we'd create personas, and then we'd go present the persona first before we did anything else. And that changed our perspective on everything that we presented, right? And where they absolutely loved it. They said, we have to do personas on every single project now, because it changes everything that we're doing. Moving forward. So it can be very, very helpful. Not a lot of the smaller budget clients that we have, they can't afford to do the persona piece. So it's like we just do our best to figure out, okay, we've done stuff like this before. This is basically the persona. We know who it is, and we'll just build.
Gotcha. And does that have a pretty high success rate as far as?
For sure.
Man. Yeah, I never thought to look at it in that manner.
Yeah. So we even do it now, even on the websites we build. So we call it an ideal customer profile, but persona is really or avatar. People call it different things, right? So for every website we create, we'll do for that property, we'll have that ideal customer profile created, because for that person, that's who we're writing the content for the website for.
Yeah.
So again, the owner may want it to say one thing, but it's not what's going to attract that
right
that
clientele,
resident.
that right resident.
So you have to look at it from the perspective of that demographic that's moving there. So
I
yeah, it's a
understand.
challenge, but it can be a challenge.
What was it like when you landed your first big client? Was it everything you imagined?
Must have been. I can't remember even who that was. So, well, we worked with Resman for a long. That was a great one. So as far as like, this was in 2015.
Yeah.
So they, and it's funny, we were a HubSpot agency.
Okay.
So we became a content marketing agency in 2012 when we had that whole collapse of when I was like, we couldn't pay our bills and all this. We kind of sat down, made some big hard decisions. We let some people go, and we said, okay, let's restructure ourselves as a content marketing agency. So I let almost all my developers go, and I hired all content writers. Okay, so all the content writers came in, and we started going after a different type of client. And so we became HubSpot. And HubSpot is a CRM. Back then, this was 2012, so HubSpot wasn't even very old back then, right? And so we were learning the system, and we were getting people to sign up for HubSpot, and then we were implementing HubSpot, and we were writing all of their, doing all the social media, all the blog writing, all of the downloadable content items, all of that. And in 2015, I got a phone call from Elizabeth Francisco. She had just been to, I forget the name of Inbound is the name of the conference that HubSpot puts on in Boston every year. And so she had been at that conference, and she must have met or at some point ran into my account rep for HubSpot. And he said, hey, you need to talk to this agency in Dallas, because you're in Dallas, they're in Dallas, they're a HubSpot agency, they could help you. And at the time, Resman was only, I want to say 12 or 15 employees. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So they were small, and they're only a couple of years old. Elizabeth, it was her brainchild. She had started the whole thing, and they were like in the thick of it. And she's like, we need help. They had one marketing person, and Elizabeth, they were doing all the marketing, right? And so we came in and we started doing blog writing and social media, and then they got, that was maybe a year or so, and then they got bought. And we were able to make it through the first purchase, and they grew a lot. And then we kept working, and they got bought again. And we made it through the second purchase. And I met, at that point, they had a marketing director come in who specialized in taking companies from a certain level to the next level up, right? And so he had me come in. I sat down with him, and he's like, look, I'm going to push you as hard as I can push you, and it's not going to be fun, and I need to make sure that you're up for the challenge. And I was like, look, we're up for the challenge. Bring it on, right? And so he loved us. We worked with him for a long time. They sold again. We made it through another sell. He then left. They brought in a new CMO. We made it, I want to say we made it through four purchases, I think, with them. It was about 5 or 6 years. But that client, I remember going, actually, no, we didn't. That CMO, before he left, one of his things he had to do was lay us off. Because the new president that came in brought in his agency from his last job, and they were out in DC, and so they brought in that agency. But I remember walking to that lunch meeting knowing he's got to fire us, and knowing what that was going to mean for the company, because they were our largest client at that time, and they had seen us through the worst situations. And Elizabeth is a good friend, and she's always like stood by us through all those hard times we had. We'd call her and be like, hey, are we going to be okay? Are you still going to be able to service us? And she gave us the chances that we needed in order to make it. And I owe her a lot for that. I mean, it was, that was awesome. But so that was great. I feel like, again, you learn, it's almost like you're putting all your eggs in one basket. When you have big clients, it's way better to have a bunch of little clients that make it the same dollar amount. If you lose one here, you lose one there, it's not the end of the world. You lose one big client, it hurts. It hurts. And that was one of the catalysts for part of our downsizing needs in 2012, as we did a fantastic job for a client, and they got all leased up, and they said, hey, we don't need you anymore. We're all leased up. And it was commercial leasing, but they said, we've leased all the spaces. And so when I lost that, they were paying a lot a month. They just stopped on a dime, and I had to let some people go. And it actually, because of that client they got mad that I let people go because he had to let us go.
Right.
And so they wouldn't give us any more work for several years. Again, it's that healing process. They had to go through healing process before they'd even give us more work.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. There's lots of challenges in business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
John, I'm curious, you've been in the industry for so long, and like when I know very little about marketing, but when I think of marketing, the first thing I think of is like, okay, technology, like social media, like you said, websites, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
With you being in the industry for so long, like how has technology, you've seen it kind of change the whole industry of marketing? What was that?
Oh, man.
Technology and, now present day AI and what it's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
How does that?
Man, this is a conversation we could have
We can be here for another
5 more
5 or 6
podcasts.
hours.
Yeah. So starting out, I don't even know if y'all remember the technology that I started on, which was Flash. So Flash was motion graphics basically on the web, right? Macromedia Flash. It was a product before HTML5, before all these things. You had to have a Flash player installed on your browser to even watch the websites. And you had like these intro animations and all this stuff. And so that's what we were building when I first started. And all that went to HTML5. And over time, we worked, like I can remember building, we were an agency to agencies, remember? So one of our partner agencies that we met early, like maybe in 2010 or 11, it was Agency Entourage.
Yeah.
The guy's is a very dear friend now. His name is Ben Randolph, who owns Agency Entourage still to this day. We partnered with them and we did work for them. And we ended up getting a client together where we took over all the content writing. It was Christian Brothers Automotive. Okay, so we were the premier, we were the only option you had. If you were a franchisee, you had to use us to do all of your SEO.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was through Agency Entourage, and then we did all of the writing. Well, this was in, let's say 2013, 2012, 2013. Well, there's no AI to write this. And if I'm writing a blog post and it has to be on brake pads and I have to write it for 100 clients or 80 clients or whatever, I'm basically saying, okay, writer, I need you to write me 80 brake pad blog posts that have to go out this week and they have to be 20% different each so that Google will receive it. Well, you're going to burn out your writers so fast, right? And so we started creating, and again, this is a long time ago, but we created what we called a content spinner, which is basically we created, it's more like machine learning, I guess. So we would have like variable data that would come in and it would say, hey, we need you to take this blog post and we need you to rework it using like synonyms of words and all of this to make the blog post different enough so that Google will see it as a different post. Yeah. And so we were doing that like really early on. And then even in 2018 is still before you have ChatGPT or anything like that. In 2018 is when I started building Swifty, which is the website company. And so with it, the whole goal was I want to get to be able to build a high quality website in under an hour for these clients. So they can call me on a phone call, we can build a website. Well, to do that, the hardest part is content, right? Of any website. We're building a website for you right now. The hardest part is content for every single client because you have to come up with all of that, right? Well, we specialize in multifamily. Well, one nice thing about specializing is that every multifamily property needs the exact same content types, right? You know every paragraph that's needed. You may not know the words, but you know every paragraph that's needed for that website. So we generated a content spinner where we said, okay, we're going to take all these variable inputs about the property, and I had this is in 2018. I had my content writers basically take each paragraph of an entire website and write it 5 different ways with like fill in the blanks. And I said, okay, we're going to take this, we're going to randomly grab, and I did it not the whole paragraph, I did a sentence at a time. So I did 5 versions of every sentence and had the system go in and randomly grab those 5 sentences to build every paragraph. So ultimately I had an unlimited, it was in the millions, but I basically unlimited number of ways to write those sites.
Copy. Yeah.
Right. And so that was how we started it, right? So then you fast forward to 2020, now we have ChatGPT come into the picture and we're like, how do we leverage this now, right? And so now we just did the same thing, but on steroids. And so now you have a truly unlimited amount of content that you can generate. It's all fresh, it's all different, and we're still basing it off of all this variable content that all these data points that we have on every property.
Right.
So we go in and we'll have a conversation with you. We'll fill out a form, which it seems like every day now, AI is getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that form you don't even have to fill out anymore. Now we can go and we can just look at the internet, and we have AI agents go look at the internet for us and fill out most of that form for you.
Right.
So now I put in a URL, I get all this data back, I can write content for anything that you need me to write content for, and it's unique, and it's specialized, and it's local. Everything about it is good for you, right? And so that's where we are now. And so that AI in the last 2 weeks has changed so dramatically for our world. I feel like we're like a
man.
I mean, what's happened in the last 2 weeks with I don't know if y'all have heard of OpenClaw.
Yep.
Net, but with OpenClaw coming out and what that does for us, and basically what I feel like it's another turning point, like when ChatGPT hit us in the end of 22. Okay, in November of 22, they released it, and it took several months for it to really get adoption.
Right.
But the amount of change you saw of when that happened, right? You see, AI became this thing that you knew about. You know, it was beating people in checkers and chess and stuff like that, but it was never for me. It's just happening.
And people weren't really taking it too serious.
Right. It's too big. It's like the military's using it. We're not gonna. We can't afford that. Right. And then when ChatGPT came, it's like, wow, this is accessible. Yeah. I can start using it. I can make it poems and music and raps and all this stuff. Right?
But there was also that hesitancy. Like for me, you know, obviously I use it now, but when it first came out and people were like, hey, have you tried ChatGPT? I'm not going to try that. That's AI. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
And then I started using it, and I was like, oh man, this is incredible.
Game changer.
I'm never looking back. Yeah.
Game changer.
So it just became part of life now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so and that affects a lot of things too that we can talk about. But in these last 2 weeks, what the talk around OpenClaw has done is making agentive AI now accessible to everyone. Okay, so like where you just have you talking to a chatbot changes your life, you guys will probably start using agents within the next 6 months, and you're gonna be like, oh my Lord, this is even more insane. Like, I want to have an estimator agent that goes out and estimates a job for me. Well, that estimator agent needs 3 sub-agents, and each of those agents, one guy has to go out and do this, the other goes out and do this, and they're all computer. It's all AI that's doing all these jobs for you, and then coming back and they have an orchestrator that puts it all together.
Yeah. So the estimating part in our world is getting very good. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. The way that software companies start using it, your software is going to get way better. Your team internally will get way better. Having sales agents that go out and does all the pre-research for everything before you actually have a sales call. Your due diligence will get better. You'll be able to do due diligence better with AI agents. I mean,
we just incorporated something into our phone system it literally blew my mind. It was crazy.
What did it do?
It scrapped our website. I called it. Answered sounds just like a human, right? Personality, all that stuff. You start asking it just questions from my industry. No preface, nothing. And it spits out it spits out answers. It asks questions, and I'm like, how did you know this? We've never talked before.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and that's the scary part about it too, because it's like it's so exciting. I think everybody wants to use it, and the more we use it, the more information we give it, the more information we get it, the smarter it gets. The smarter it gets, the more control it has, and so it's like this. It just continues to grow, right? And so it's like, okay, well, and nobody knows what's going to happen, so we don't want to speculate.
We've seen the movie Terminator.
We've seen the movies. We've seen the movie. We pray that's not how it ends. But Skynet. But no, it's really exciting. So even the stuff that we're doing now, just within the last week, the changes that we're making in our company are mind blowing to me. Just because of this whole new release of how agentive AI is so accessible. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the next turn that we all start to experience in our jobs. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of fear around it killing jobs. I don't think it'll do that personally. I feel like it's going to change jobs. Right. It's going to make us the people who embrace it, the people that actually take the time and put in the hours and learn how to use it effectively, they're going to be super successful.
Yes. At the end of the day, well, you correct me if I'm wrong, but they're still going to need some direction, right, on what to do and how to perform. Yeah, at least for now.
At least
right?
for now.
Yeah.
It's like the agents that I'm training now, I'm training agents to train agents. So it's like, if you're training agents to train your agents, or to watch your agents, or to follow up on your agents, or to do things, eventually it's like, okay, well, how does that change the job for the human? Where's the human gonna come in? And I feel like, well, at the end of the day, there's only one of me.
Right.
And if I want to multiply and scale, I need more than one of me to manage the agents to do those jobs in each of those roles. So each person now can scale faster. So you're able to be more productive. So one employee can do the job of 2 or 3 employees, right? And so you don't have to scale up your human capital as fast. You may still have to in the construction world, because I mean, right now you're not using robots yet, but again, even that is on the horizon.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean,
it's on the horizon. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
Yeah, I was watching Boston Dynamics. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're the ones behind all the like massive robotic growth, right? But now their little robot, I don't know, it's about this tall. The way it moves now and like dances and actually runs and sprints, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And Elon Musk is doing Optimus, where he's building like
his robots,
and they're doing like, he's doing a lot of them, like an army of them or something. Like
It's
a lot of them. So it's like, it's coming.
Well, I know I mentioned to you the other day, I had seen a post on, I think it was on Reddit, and they had created like an AI social media page.
Oh, that's right.
It's an AI Reddit.
Yeah, it's an AI
like
Reddit,
that.
and it started out, and they were monitoring it, and it was super chill. They were just talking, whatever, and then it turned into, okay, they've created their own language. We can't follow what they're saying. They started creating their own religions. I don't know how true it is, right? But you start reading into it, and you're like, this doesn't sound too far-fetched. Like, I believe it, and that's scary that we even believe that they can do stuff like that.
Well, and it's like you start, like, you can monitor it. Like you said, you can go see what they're saying and stuff, but then you're like, okay, well, this is agents talking to agents, and we have little influence. But then the people who are building the agents can be like, hey, agent, I want you to go and like put in these ideas into the other agents. And so then it starts them talking, right? And I heard somebody say, they were talking about overthrowing their human overlords and things like that, right? But again, that's...
How much is the actual AI versus somebody
doing it through the agents, So I don't know. Right now, in my mind, it's all AI for good. It's like we're using it for good, and I'm incredibly impressed with how far it's come in the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's just insane. So, I don't know.
It moves fast, man. It's crazy.
So fast.
We'll see where it ends up. John, we're top of the hour already, and I know we could keep on going, but before we wrap up, there's a couple things. I think you've got, this is just my observation, right? But you've got this gift of connecting people, and I see you also not only as a friend, but connector. If you're always at networking events, you're at a lot of networking events.
Yes.
At what point in your career did you start going to networking events? Do you recommend that to people that are starting out in their business, whatever endeavor they're looking to start?
Specifically in this industry, yes. I think probably every industry is similar. Getting involved in your local associations, I think, is key. I think I signed up for the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas in 2014. But I never got any of the emails. I never did anything. I didn't put myself out there. I didn't go to any of the events until 2018 or 19, maybe. And then I was like, man, I should have been doing this all along. So most industries are relationship driven. I feel like the apartment industry more than others.
Yes.
It's especially true. It's a very loyal and cliquey kind of industry where people love the people they love, and the associations talk from the pulpit saying, look around you. These are the people you should be working with, right? The people that contribute and give back to the industry are the people you want to actually work with in the industry. And so again, it kind of pushes back into that whole relational side of it that you really need to get involved. I didn't personally start going to a lot of those networking conferences until 23 or 22 or 23. And it's when I really started saying, okay, well, if I want to grow, and I did it for Swifty on that side, I'd say with Criterion.B, we have a really strong SEO presence when it comes to like branding multifamily. We always got enough business that way and felt like, okay, I really need to put my effort and time into Swifty. And so I started going to these, and I think I did 23 or 24 of them that first year, all over the country. And surprisingly, I had a good time. And I'm not an extrovert at all. I'm an introvert. It takes a lot of energy to go and to talk to people and get out of my comfort zone. I'm a wallflower. I don't just naturally walk up to somebody. So it's like you have to put yourself out there and figure out how to talk to people. I found just standing at the coffee bar and waiting for someone else to get coffee, and then you get coffee, and it's like, oh, hey, where'd you come from? That's a good way, like for me to like break the ice and talk. So I do that a lot. But people ask me now when I'm at the events, they're like, well, what are you hoping to get out of the event? And I almost always say, I'm really not here for business. I'm here just to, hang out with my friends, meet people and build relationships. And that's really it, and I hope I get business. And I was saying, I think I might have been telling you the other day, I was like, I've met some of these guys for years and then they'll see me at my booth and be like, what do you do? And I was like, and then I'll tell them what I do. It's always, business is always an afterthought for me. And that's why I think we need good salespeople, because for me, the relationships are important. And I build the relationships before I build the business. So I want to go out and meet the people and understand them and get to know them. And hey, if I'm a good fit for you, awesome. If I'm not, I'll introduce you to somebody who is. There's the industry, even though it's a pretty tight-knit group, there's business, so much business in this industry. There's plenty of business to go around. And so I think really it's just the more you put yourself out there and the more you can, put out good, I don't know what the best word, vibes or whatever, really just introducing
good
people.
Energy.
Good energy. Just do for other people. As much value as you can add to other people, you'll get it back later on, right? So I'm always good for a marketing conversation. I'm always good for if you just need help, right? Just ask me for direction on who to talk to. I'm good for that. So
there's always, it seems like, every time we sit down and talk, obviously, hey, have you talked to this, or have you met this person, or have you tried this?
Always, cool. There's so many people, so many interesting people in the industry and what they do, and most of them love helping. I don't know that I've met anybody in the industry who's just very like closed-lipped and doesn't want to help you do better. So I feel like just keep paying it forward.
For sure. Lastly, can you tell us a little bit about your movie star?
Oh, geez.
Era.
We don't talk about that. You can't even get it anymore on Prime. It was only on Amazon for a while. It was on HGTV. I think it was called We Bought the Farm, and it was about people moving out of big cities into farmland. And my wife and I bought 5 acres and had a house back in 2015. I think. And so our real estate agent, she called us and said, hey, somebody approached me and they're looking for people who are moving out of the city, moving into the country. And I immediately thought of y'all. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, I do not want to be on screen. I don't want to do this. But we said, okay, fine. We had 3 little bitty kids at the time. They were all like under probably 6 or younger, I guess. 6. It must have been 6, 4, and 2, something like that. And it was just, it was kind of crazy. The first day of filming, first of all, they didn't give us anything for it. And we had to take a week off work, and they didn't even do childcare. So I was like, that's crazy. But I said, okay, we'll do it. It'll be a good time capsule for the kids. They'll be excited to see this when they're older and show their spouses or whatever. So we did it. The first day of filming, we were only going to film for like 2 days. First or 3 days, I guess, something like that. My wife was sick, couldn't film. So then I'm now by myself on camera, having to go and like all these, you have like all these GoPros all over, suction cupped all over your car, filming you driving and talking all the time and doing all that. And I had the 3 kids with me, and I don't know, it was fun. It was a good experience. I don't think I'd ever do it again.
Yeah.
And it ruins you on reality TV because it's not real at all.
Right.
It's all made up.
shows
I'd
you
already
that.
bought the house, and it was supposed to be like one of these house finder shows, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in the middle of the remodel of the house, and when we come on, and so then you have to go into your house and pretend like you hate everything, and who would have done that? And it's like, I did that. I was like,
I'm literally
that was
doing
me.
it right now.
I'm doing it. Yes, that was my decision. It's like, so it was all fake, but it was fun. It was a good experience. That was it.
Nice.
We bought it for him. I think it was episode 5 or 7 or something. But like I said, you can't even get it now.
Yeah. Well, we found the link and we're going to post it in
Did you?
YouTube.
No, you didn't. You did not. I've tried to find the link. If you get on Facebook and you follow me on Facebook, you'll inevitably find my mom. My mom has a copy of it. She bought it on Amazon. So
Gotcha.
maybe she'll share her password with you, and you can go watch
and you
it.
can watch it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Well, Jon, thanks, dude. I appreciate
Yeah.
you coming on the show, man. And again, thank you to your team. Thank you. You guys are awesome to work with. If anyone needs to, reach out to you, needs to reach out to your team, how can they find you?
So it's Criterion.B.com, and it's spelled how it sounds, but Criterion, the letter B.com. We're on all the social channels. You can find us that way. You can reach out to me directly if you want.
Yeah.
We have an amazing team, right? I couldn't do it without them.
Right.
My team is awesome. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
This has been great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.